Good evening and welcome to the Varside Spurs Pubcast, coming to you all the way from the Varside Arms. Today we have a special guest, Chris Dunne. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, Lee, and thank you for having me. And once again, thank you for your hospitality yesterday as we sat through that rather tense game.
Yeah,
Greatly
drink
appreciated.
drinking some of my homemade beer, which you look like you still look okay. You don't look like you're about to expire anytime soon.
I think you're confusing me with someone else
Yeah,
who should
someone from
remain
a WhatsApp
nameless.
thread. Yeah, yeah. It was pretty worse for wear last time, wasn't he? He was couldn't handle the session beers and was throwing his guts up, wasn't he?
Yeah, and just the general jubilation of the day, and quite understandable, of course.
Yeah. So we won't name names anyway.
No,
So
he knows who he is.
right, let's get straight into the game then. Were you surprised by any of the team selection yesterday, or did you think that's kind of what you expected?
I wasn't surprised by the selection, but bearing in mind where we are on the run we're about to go in, I would have, thought maybe given other players a chance. Might have been the way to go. I'm thinking in particular Jed Spence, who
Hmm.
I'm very keen to see. It still remains to be seen whether he's Conte's choice. One or two of those comments that were made when he was signed suggested he was a club signing, but for me, he looks ideal for
Yeah.
Conte. And our dear friend Emerson Royal, who does nothing wrong, and he's a solid 6.5, 7 out of 10. Just for a Conte team, just doesn't contribute enough for me
No.
going forward. Nobody can read what he's going to do with the final pass or the final cross. That's a big problem.
We were saying yesterday, weren't we? Really, I think that one's an interesting dilemma because he knows the system, Royale. But I suspect once Jed Spence is up to speed with the system, that he's a more natural right wing back, whereas Royale is just a right back.
Yeah,
And he will eventually either he'll play second fiddle or be sold because he's a good. I mean, like you say, he is an actual solid defender. He's a good player, but he is a little bit square peg in round hole for that system. So I suspect someone like Jed Spence, once he's fully up to speed, will get in there. Saw a little bit of him yesterday, didn't we? Not massively enough to really make any kind of headway on what we expect from him. But Conte has been talking about him recently, which is a positive sign.
yeah, and just those few glimpses of him, he can certainly eat up the ground on the counter attack, which is what we want to see. Um, had them just a glimmer of a chance there to score a goal, but we've seen him last season against Premier League opposition in the cup and played
Mm,
very well against Arsenal and Liverpool. So he's not a total unknown. Um, and with the West Ham game coming up, he's got to be a consideration.
yeah. Oh yeah. I
He
think
could
there'll
do
be
them a
some.
lot of damage.
There may well be some changes and enforced changes. We'll get into that a bit later on, actually. So overall, I've seen a few moans about the style of play. So I just wanted to get into that. So, have you got any concerns? I've heard crap about it. It seems like we're just playing like we would be under Mourinho or Nuno. What do you make of this? I mean, it seems like we're playing a low block on a counter attacking style of football, but is this just because we haven't quite clicked yet? What are your feelings, Chris?
We're not the finished article. But what I will say is that they look a much better drilled and much fitter side than they did either Mourinho or Nuno. I mean, under the Mourinho system where we played the low block, rather than the opposition wearing themselves down, it ended up with us being the ones who were worn down in the last
Mm,
20 minutes. And where we might have been defending a lead, we generally gave it away. I think
mm.
there's a lot more science to it now. Um, I think that what has got to come is that Conte wants, and he's been demanding from the touchline, them to be more calm in possession.
Mm,
There's a lot of times when we'll win the ball back and then we'll just shank it forward.
mm.
And you can see he's getting frustrated by that. And I don't know, is that where we want someone like
Well,
Basuma coming in? Is it one of the players who was missing yesterday, Romero, is really good at that. the
Hmm.
passing out the back. That's where we were a bit ragged. We were under pressure yesterday.
Well, he
So
alluded to that, didn't he? With a comment yesterday he made that, look, this isn't quite what I had in mind with what I'm trying to achieve. But I think what he's trying to say, not that Mourinho throw him under the bus style, I didn't tell him to play like this. I think this is he's basically saying, look, we know what we want to achieve. We're not quite there yet. That's more of what I think he's trying to get across here. I want him to be a bit calmer, like you were saying, in certain situations. I want us to spring out on attack when we, quicker in certain situations and be a little bit more aggressive overall. Because I think we did lack a little bit of aggression in that first half, I thought. But you can see it sort of just waiting. It feels to me anyway. I mean, maybe that's just confirmation bias, but it feels to me I'm just waiting for it just to click, because we had actually a lot of chances yesterday. And if you compare our XG to their XG, even though they were like going for it and they did play some nice football, ours was like 2.57 and theirs was 0.9. So we had the lion's share. And on another day, 4 or 5 could have gone in for us. I mean, obviously Kane's missed penalty, etc. But we we may have looked like we were under the cosh a lot, but we had the better chances overall. And I think
absolutely.
perhaps that's what he's wanting to see, just a little bit more ruthlessness with it, because he has said, and he just wants a team to kill the opposition in a sporting way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And again, Lloris, well, one blocked comfortable shot. Okay, they had a couple of headers just whistle wide. But again, not giving away loads of chances, looking solid, but then just that transition, it's not quite what it was. That will get better. We
Yeah.
know Sonny will get better. We know he's miles above his current level. We know that we've got a striker now who's champion at the bit, who we'd all love to see get a full game. That is going to create major problems for the opposition. We continue to play this dicey game, playing out the back, which is quite calculated to draw them down into the corners and then play up the channels. This is not something Tottenham fans are used to seeing.
Mm.
In our ideal scenario, we are front foot and dominating possession. And when we're not doing that, we're anxious because we're not used to having defensive solidity.
Do you know
Even though
what?
we've had great defenders down the years, we haven't had great defenses.
No, exactly, Chris. And I think the other thing is, at the moment, I couldn't care less how we're playing, as long as they're getting the results. Because every comment that you can ever make, and however many things you can put about Kane and how brilliant he is, the comeback is always, but you got no trophies,
Mm.
or do you get a trophy for that? And I think just at the moment, as a fan base and the players just need to, by hook or by crook, get something over the line. I mean, literally, he yesterday Conte was saying that in a press conference where he was just saying, look, he, I think it was on Match of the Day. He was just saying basically the difference between winning something and then knowing, it's almost like insinuating that you afterwards you can sort of puff your chest out and you can do it. And it's I know we've heard this before, but it is so true. The players just need to know they can do it. And I think, I don't, and as I say, I really, at the moment, I couldn't give a toss about quite how we're playing, as long as we get it done.
Yeah, and I think it's a strange thing that the players have got to get over, because they've been able to go to Anfield and the Etihad and get results, and there's got to be more pressure there than there is in a Carabao Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
But of course,
Oh
as you
yeah,
say, it would be nice to get that. Okay, the other fans will be going, well, it's only a Carabao, but it would be a
but
start.
whatever. Yeah, but
Yeah.
to be honest, even if you won the league, you go, but you've only won once.
Mm,
Do it again and
absolutely.
then come back to me. It'll be whatever happened, it'll be like that. But for the players, that I think it would be really important. I think you kind of, like, we saw that, didn't we, with City? There was a like bit of a psychological thing, and until they got over the line, now they just pretty much win everything. But I think
Mm,
there was a bit of a block there, and that's one thing we have to overcome. It just reminds me so much of, dare I say, England.
mm.
It's
Yeah.
that psychological block that we need to overcome.
And it's that they are going through hell with this coach who's drilling them, but he's
Mm,
telling them, "You do this, I'll guarantee you'll win something." And that's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
We need to validate that. We need to get something. And I'm desperate for Harry Kane to get something because he's just
Oh yeah,
the,
and
the
Lloris, as we
abuse
were
the man
saying.
get. Yeah, but the abuse Kane gets. What does it all count for all these
Oh
goals?
yeah,
Because it's just
yeah, yeah.
ridiculous.
It is. But I mean, and the other thing as well, Chris, was which I think I'm pretty sure we mentioned yesterday when you were over, is actually handling the pressure now of these type of games. And again, I know it's been said many times to the point where it is becoming a cliche that Tottenham might have lost this, in another year. Um, but actually, the noise of that stadium, which again a number of people have commented on, it was a hostile environment. Their fans will bang up for it because they're just back in the Premiership. So were their players. In terms of mentality, to be strong enough under that hostility and also that amount of pressure says a lot about our team at the moment. Because I didn't feel yesterday as much as I know there were times you think, oh, they're getting close here, but I still felt confident we would have enough to come away with this, with the right result, despite their sort of their relentless singing, the atmosphere, the pressure we were under, and the way the commentators were making it sound.
Absolutely, I think it was personified by that Perisic back header to
Mm,
Lloris. It's like
yeah,
it's okay, guys,
yeah,
we got this,
we've got
and
this.
there was no panic in that back line at any time. They were comfortable. They knew their positions. Nobody was diving into tackles, and it was like, okay, they were in that element. They were relaxed in their play, which is something we're just not used to seeing,
No,
and it's very heartening. And we've seen this run we've had now. What, since March, apparently, since we've lost away from home, it's
I know.
paying dividends.
Well, I
It
mean,
just needs that. I think what we need, we haven't quite worked out yet. We're still trying to perfect Plan A. It's Plan B as well,
mm,
because we can't keep solidly keeping to this lineup and then seeing other teams just decide to flood the central midfield and try and jump on us. We've got to be more adaptable than that.
yeah. I mean, it's like that stat was going around yesterday about the fact that we're the top team in the last 20 games, is it, or something like that,
Yeah.
in terms of points accrued. And again, I know opposition fans going to come back and say, "Do you get a trophy for that?" That's just always going to be it from now on, isn't it? Really, you just got to kind of like laugh it off. But the other thing is that when we're just not brittle anymore. And I think that's the thing that really was also getting under the skin of a lot of opposition. I mean, like, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man U, all those teams now are all sniping at us and with this, because I think they obviously feel that we really do have a chance. And I think and to be honest, you're better off being talked about, even if it's negatively, than just being irrelevant.
Oh, absolutely. That it would be their worst nightmare if we make the breakthrough.
Yeah.
That would kill them, especially that lot down the road who are on the happy tablets at the moment, just you know beating
Fucking
Fulham,
Eurovision song that they've
and
got is
yeah, doing cartwheels around the pitch because they beat Fulham, going, "Oh, we wouldn't have done that last season." It's
nah.
like they are one Gabriel Jesus hamstring injury away from catastrophe.
But I
And
mean,
what
and
a
also that they scraped over the line for that game. I mean, let's have it right. They scraped over the line, and yet they celebrated it like they'd won the league.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing, but I think this really going to come down on them hard, because they've got some. I mean, not only now we're going to start playing a lot of games. All clubs are going to be playing like two, 3 games a week now, um, uh, and I think when some of those big games coming up, they've got, it's particularly in October, they won't. I don't think they're going to know how to cope.
No, indeed
The
not.
fan base will just go in a meltdown.
And then when they start visiting Poland and Lithuania and wherever else in
Yeah,
Europe, that's going to really grind them down. Hey
yeah,
ho, let
good.
bitter